The DEP's Office of Abandoned Mine Lands and Reclamation is charged with mitigating the environmental damage from what are known as pre-law mines. Those are mines abandoned before the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act was enacted in 1977. The act, SMCRA, as it is called for short, requires mine operators to clean up and reclaim the environment that's left behind once mining operations end. It also provides funding to clean up and eliminate safety hazards associated with those abandoned pre-law mines. But the future of that funding source is up in the air. The DEP's Brianna Hickman joins us now with more.
Greg, some of those abandoned mine works in West Virginia date back to the 1800s. SMCRA collects a per-ton fee on mined coal that goes into a fund to pay for the reclamation of these pre-law mines. Those fee collections are set to end in 2021. What happens then was the subject of a recent summit in Washington. West Virginia receives on average around $25 million each year from the fund. Reclamation projects can range from as little as $10,000 to $15,000 for a small job, upwards into the millions of dollars. If the fee collection isn't reauthorized, the DEP will receive its last disbursement of those funds in 2022. After 2022, those reclamation programs will be able to utilize what's known as the AML Trust Fund. The AML Trust Fund was established when SMCRA was created to provide funding for states and tribes to continue doing reclamation after the fee collection stopped. So if the AML Trust Fund isn't utilized for any other type of programs, the West Virginia AML program will continue to have funding through about 2035. There are a handful of bills working their way through Congress right now that would potentially use the AML Trust Fund for other activities besides reclamation of AML features.
We have over 4,500 sites that we know about statewide. Our planners and emergency folks find new sites and new problem types every day almost. It's not uncommon that going back out into the field to revisit a site that was put on the inventory back in the 80s or 90s are incomplete a lot of times. And there's various reasons for that. Lack of man hours. Some of them were done by helicopter. So you see some of the bigger features such as the big refuse piles or the high walls, but when you get boots on the ground and start walking, then do you also have portals or auger openings? You have different buildings and subsidence features. So there's a lot of other features that weren't initially accounted for. As the decades go by, the old mine workings become more unstable, so you have more subsidence prone instances that occur. And then even some of the sites that we have known about may have been a priority 2 or priority 3 that, yeah, we revisit them from time to time and we keep track of them, but they just haven't made it to the top of the priority list to be turned in as a project. One such case was the underground mine fire in Preston County this past year. It's something we had known about for a while. However, it was a pretty good distance away from any inhabitants, any houses or anything like that. Well, something within the mine changed, the fire shifted throughout and it started encroaching upon a neighborhood. So something that was pretty low priority became an emergency almost overnight. Toxic fumes and smoke and everything filled the neighborhood, and it ignited a forest fire, which produced even more smoke and more hazards to the community.
West Virginia alone still has about $4.5 billion worth of reclamation work associated with abandoned mines left to do. So finding a funding mechanism beyond 2021 is critical, and it's not just a West Virginia problem.
No. There are 31 states and Indian tribes nationwide that have AML programs, and they all rely on that funding coming in to help eliminate the hazards that they deal with every day. Even some of the states and tribes that have become certified, meaning at the time they had taken care of all their highest priority coal problems, they still continue to find new AML features, new coal-related AML features every year. Some of them are pretty costly. And then, of course, they'll continue to have emergencies and maintenance problems as well.
One of the things West Virginia and the other states are working on is looking into ways to more accurately report the total cost of reclamation projects.
The eAMLS, which is our federal database. There's some kind of programming errors and inconsistencies with that program. So there were discussions on the states being involved in some of those fixes, as well as developing an alternative reporting system for financial data, and not relying on the eAMLS, which is an inventory system that has historically been used as the financial reporting system as well. And because of that, there's been a lot of scrutiny placed on the AML program nationwide, and not all of the money that is spent on the program is shown in AMLS. It's primarily just construction costs. So none of the administration, engineering, feasibility studies, and that's a big chunk of funding is not captured in that database. And if all of the data was made available and they could see the full picture of where the money has been spent, I think that would alleviate a lot of the skepticism about the program and truly show the need of the program to continue past 2021, and also see just how big of a positive change the AML program has made on the citizens of the states and nationwide.
Greg, the summit was held at the Department of the Interior in Washington, D.C. in December. It was hosted and coordinated by the Interstate Mining Compact Commission for member states of the National Association of Abandoned Mine Lands Programs. For Environment Matters, I'm Brianna Hickman.